Alrighty, guys, what is going on? My name is Tubby Emo. We're going to talk pushes in WWE. And the reason I want to talk pushes in WWE is because lately I've been getting a lot of messages on Twitter about guys that are not getting pushed or not getting used. And, that's usually a pretty common thing in WWE. With a lot of superstars they have, a lot of guys, they never get the push they deserve. They never get the push they deserve. And with the releases that just happened, one of those guys is Drew McIntyre. That, a lot of people kept saying, you have this talent in Drew McIntyre who Vince McMahon even called him the chosen one, and he was destined for big and, better things. And he went on to be with 3MB for 2 years, and they basically did nothing, and they were like a joke tag team. You got guys like Damian Sandow who won the Money in the Bank and are now doing kooky TV appearances. Now, granted, compared to Drew McIntyre, Drew McIntyre, Oksana, Camacho, all those other guys, you can now get why I say Damian Sandow is getting a push. Now, at the first instinct, you're going to say, Tubby, you're full of shit. You're just trying to cover your ass for Damian going from Money in the Bank holder to loser. And the real answer is no. In WWE this day, I look at this differently now. In WWE, the landscape of the show has changed so much. And what is considered a push now is not what was considered a push, years ago. With WWE being in so many places, they have so many shows, they have so many ways to utilize talents now. From the WWE.com shows, with especially the JBL and Cole show. Bad News Barrett came from there. We might eventually see, I think they're going to pull the trigger with Heath Slater on Clem, which is JBL's nephew. I think they might pull that gimmick. And that push necessarily isn't for a title. It's not necessarily this guy's coming in, he's going to be a powerhouse, he goes on to win the title. Like Rusev. His whole angle so far, he's yet to go for a title. He's kind of just beat down a bunch of people. People thought it was going to be the new Nation of Domination type thing. He goes and gets a gold medal celebration. And he's not necessarily doing anything, but he's prominently featured. So he's not necessarily getting over, but he's getting a big push. He's in the segments right before the show goes home and right before the show ends. He's a part of those, big segments. They let him up and beefed him up with promos forever. The dude, I think, has got a lot of potential. I love his super kick out of nowhere. I think that he is somebody that could get a push. I don't know if his current gimmick is working. And that brings me up to the point about when it comes to pushes. Are WWE becoming faster and faster with the amount of talent they have down in NXT? And I talked about this on the live stream, the 2K15 one, when we did the release live streams over on Twitch.tv, was with as many talents as they have got now, they've just released 10 of them, and those 10 don't even make a dent in the roster. Because those guys were people that weren't doing anything anyway, and, they have so many NXT superstars, so many people that are signed to developmental contracts. Are we in the age where the staying power, like the Kofi Kingstons who stay around for 6 years and really don't do anything, they really don't get any storylines, they're just there, is that coming to an end? You got guys like Kurt Hawkins that are gone now. Is that coming to an end where eventually we'll see guys come up like Adam Rose, like when a gimmick's hot, or something like Fandango, and then when that gimmick cools off, they repackage them and get rid of them? And obviously that's what wrestling usually is. I don't think in this day and age the talent has the staying power that they do years ago. And I think that's one, because of how the talents are being used. But at the same point, there's just too much programming, too much going on. You need guys in a role like Damian Sandow. Damian is kind of taken over the Santino Marella role, right? Like it's, the guy that's is kind of like disgruntled, and not necessarily disgruntled in a way, because that wasn't Santino's gimmick. But for Santino, it was more of the comedy role, the funny segments. We don't really necessarily see the vicious beating side out of him, because when he lost to John Cena, when he went to cash in and he actually lost, the first thing I said was, I can't believe they did that, but at the same time, do they want John Cena to be the only guy in Money to make history not to successfully cash in? There's that as well. But Damian has been on TV. His push has been going on. It's been happening for a long time. They've slowly been building him up. And like I said, I don't know what the pushes are leading to, because I think in WWE now the pushes are different. Look at the pushes the Divas get only to feature on Total Divas. So there might be something more coming, and this is what I keep saying when it comes to pushes, because pushes no longer relate to winning a title. because pushes for the divas, you know, you got Eva Marie and those divas are on TV occasionally, but their big push is through the TV show Total Divas. That's what, you know, they're probably honestly going to be a little bit more known for than the actual wrestling, because the WWE doesn't utilize them properly. They don't give them the necessarily quote-unquote normal push that superstars or divas would get to accelerate and, you know, make a name for themselves. Now WWE's at the point where they've got to kind of rely on other ways to get their name out. And I think if that show was to catch on and they were to get super more popular, then you would start to see them get that push in WWE. WWE's been going off what's hot, so they have the Russia thing, and they've kind of laid off the Russian thing. My boy Putin, because, you know, Russia was invading a lot of stuff. That's what WWE's always kind of done, is the cultural stuff. And when it comes to them to keep doing it, I think gimmicks like Adam Rose are going to pop up when they're hot. They're going to work for a while. And then I think the guys are either going to get fired, repackaged, or they're going to move on. Because with the level of talent WWE has, I think you only get one shot, one push, one. Tony kept saying this on the stream. You basically get one shot now. When you go out there and you debut, you have got to make a huge boom. Like Paige, even Paige, who was hailed in NXT. She had the biggest pop. She was awesome to watch. She was a great wrestler. The way they've kind of pushed her, so to speak, even as champion. Like, Damien's out here doing these stupid TV things. She's out here with a championship, winning pay-per-view matches. She's on the pay-per-views. And it still doesn't feel like a push because she's really not getting cheered. The way they're booking her doesn't make any sense. But she's champion. And I don't think a championship push nowadays means what it is, because those titles really mean nothing these days. So I would much rather have something come about, and I hate to say this, like Total Divas, or something where a push leads to something. I'm hoping like they start off a story like on WWE.com, how they have Clem Layfield, they try it out, and then they use it, and then they go with it if it's hot. You know, there was rumors about Kevin Dunn not being a fan of Adam Rose's push, and that's why we saw Adam Rose off TV for a week, because he just really wasn't a fan of it anymore. And I thought to myself, I'm like, how can they do that? They build up this gimmick, and, you know, he was Leo Kruger forever. He does Adam Rose just for a little bit, and then he gets called up super fast. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, I don't understand what WWE is necessarily doing when it comes to these pushes, but they're usually leading to something. You know, you got their own TV shows. You know, Daniel Bryan's push was a part of Total Divas. It seems like more so than not, the pushes or, you know, the bumps people get are related to something else. It's related to something going on, like if Russia's super hot, Rusev's getting a push. If, you know what I mean? So I think when it comes to the booking, you need guys that have that staying power, and unfortunately WWE doesn't have that right now. I love Dolph Ziggler. I think Dolph Ziggler deserves to be champion. I think he could carry the company. And he still gets cheered, but is he selling those seats? Is he selling out arenas? No, but he hasn't been put in that position to be able to do that, because every time he has been, he kind of gets hurt. And if I'm WWE, I've got to be cautious. I've got to, you know, this is a billion-dollar business, or it used to be, Vince, sorry, that these gimmicks, I think this is what's going to hurt WWE. You're bringing in these guys that are coming up for 2 months and then getting repackaged, or, you know, their gimmick's not working, they're calling them up too early or whatnot, and then people are dying off on them, and then they're not being used. You got those guys like Damien. You got, you know, Damien used to get booed. He used to get, you know, whatever. He still gets that heat a little bit. I think Bo Dallas might run into the same problem with these pushes, with these gimmicks nowadays in WWE. The ones they're building aren't necessarily the staying power ones. The Hulk Hogan's, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the, you know, whatever, the CM Punks. None of those guys really have that. And I think that's not necessarily all about WWE. I think that's on some of the talent. Like, Christian is a guy I love. And apparently he's back from injury, and they just don't know what to do with him. WWE has a lot of guys. They just don't know what to do with them. They keep them around. They maybe job them out on TV a while. And we see that, and then we get all mad as the IWC fans. But you have to remember, the IWC fans are a lot less in numbers than we think compared to the ones that actually watch the shows, the casual fans. And what we want isn't always what's right for business. It's not what always sells out, because if it was, Dolph would be champion, Cena would be gone from the company, and they would be a $5 billion company. But they're not. So when it comes to pushes, guys, I say just be a little bit more patient, see where things go, look at Bad News Barrett. And, like I said, Damian Sandow, I still have a feeling he's eventually going to get that push. But the question of the video, guys, are the quick gimmicks that they do, like the Fandango, the dancing gimmick, the Adam Rose party gimmick, are these gimmicks going to hurt the superstars that are portraying them? Are they going with what's hot now versus actually building the guys up to be actual superstars? Let me know in the comment section below what you think. And if Damian Sandow ever does get a push, where's his push headed? Is it headed off a cliff? Let me know in the comment section.